The latest Marvel Studios film, The Marvels, starring Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and of course Photon. It just hit the box office and it's not doing so well, but does that mean you shouldn't see it? Let's talk about our thoughts on that here on That Park Place. Good morning. This is Jonas J. Campbell, and with me is Lorena Creole of the Lorena Creole YouTube channel. Lorena, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jonas, and glad to be here.
I am so glad to get you on That Park Place. Is this your first time on this channel?
Yes, actually it is. At least
Awesome.
live anyway.
Awesome. So glad to have you here. I don't like to ask questions that I already know the answers to. So I know that you have seen the film. I saw it before the pro show on Thursday. You saw it about the same time as the pro show. That's why we didn't get to get the pleasure of your opinion then. I'm not going to ask you for your score right away, but I was going to ask, what are the things, just to start out with, that you liked about the film?
Well, I have one thing that I liked right off the bat, and another that's like a guilty indulgence. I love the fact that there was an intact nuclear family portrayed in this film. I wasn't a big fan of the Ms. Marvel show just because I'm just not the demographic for it.
Mhm.
But what I did like was the nuclear family, the love that the family all had for each other, and the somewhat conservative attitude that the mother had towards the daughter. So seeing that in this film, I did like that. I like the actress Iman Vellani. She's always just like a bundle of joy. I say so to speak. So it was wonderful watching her, and again watching that really fun family dynamic. The other thing that I liked, and it's a pure guilty pleasure, Goose the cat.
Mm.
I used to have a cat that was a ginger when I was in high school, and I loved him absolutely to death. And he was a little fat too, so
Uh,
so I really liked the cat,
so he was a tabby, your cat then?
Yes, he was a tabby, and are we doing mild? Are we doing spoilers?
Yeah, let's go ahead, and this will be a spoiler review. Everyone, I'm warning you now. I'm putting my hand up to denote when the spoilers are over. I'm just kidding. We're just going to go ahead and do spoilers.
Okay, because I was just gonna say, yeah, I always thought that it was a male tabby ginger cat because
Yeah,
tabby
me
gingers
too.
are usually male, and apparently that got put in doubt in this movie.
Yeah, that one kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought that Goose was a male as well in the first one, so I was a little confused by that. I'll admit. I also thought that the Khans in this movie, as in the Kamala Khan's her family, was awesome. They knew exactly who they were in the film as far as the writing of the film. Like they provided comic relief, but they also kind of provided that human perspective that is
Mhm.
starting to kind of be missed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. I like the mom and I like the dad. The brother, he's okay, but he's just kind of there to be the
Yeah.
disinterested brother who the mom likes more. I like all of the aspects of their relationships and the fact that it's easy humor, but it's also very realistic humor of this traditional family living in America. Sorry, expatriate family living in America and dealing with a weird situation. So
Mhm.
I like that a lot. I also like that they updated pretty much everybody's personality, at least a little bit. They I don't want to say they fixed Captain Marvel, but
Mhm.
Brie Larson, one, it looks like she got in better shape, and I'm always on shaky ground there. I don't want to spend too much time commenting on a woman's appearance, but as far as Marvel movies go, it looks like she got more into that Marvel shape. She looks like a fighter now, and her personality was a little bit more apparent in this film. Like she actually had some funny lines every now and then. I felt like that was kind of missing from the first film. Iman Vellani, super charming. Totally agree with you there. And I'm kind of hit or miss on the fact that Nick Fury was actually kind of funny in this,
Yeah.
because he was funny, but also I don't feel like Nick Fury should be funny, but he did have some funny lines. So I'm kind of hit or miss on that one. He seems to act a little different in the Marvel versus where he is everywhere else.
He and I'd noticed this, I'd put this in my review. Nick Fury is supposed to be a bad.
Hmm.
So it's bad enough his eye got taken out by Goose in Captain Marvel. In this one, he just seems just bad. He's just kind of there. And that edge that he has is nowhere present um,
Yeah, he
at all.
he does seem to be guessing at what he's doing a lot during this film, except when he has a big revelation, and there's a scene, again, we're spoiling this, where
Hmm.
he has a big idea about how to save everybody.
Oh,
I don't
Lord.
really, I don't really understand why the space station started kind of going into this meltdown mode, because there's no supervillains there to cause it to go into meltdown mode. If there was a line in there that said it was one of the Flurkins or the Flurkin eggs, maybe I missed that. But yeah, so the space station's exploding, and he has a, oh, you know what we're gonna do, and whew, I think the odds are that most people have not seen this movie that are going to be watching this review. So I'm just going to describe it. Since the Flurkins in the first movie, there's only one Flurkin, and it's Goose, can
Hmm.
swallow large objects, and it shrinks it down to whatever inside of a cat. So the cat doesn't look fat or anything like that. So they decide that they're going to escape from this space station that doesn't have enough escape pods by having all of the crew, and there's maybe 100 people on this station. They're going to have all these Fleur kittens that have just hatched from little brain eggs swallow
Hmm.
everyone. For some reason, the Fleur kittens ignore all the superheroes and main characters, but they go around swallowing all the people, and they're running and screaming, and kind of there's some humor in there, but it's also kind of weird. Am I describing this scene accurately?
You are. I'm just like, okay, I get it, but it just looks too weird. And then over the loudspeaker, you hear, "Don't run, let the flurkin eat you." And I'm like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of that movie. Was it It Came from Outer Space?
Mhm.
I forget which one it was, where they were yelling at the people, "Don't run," while they were shooting them, with lasers and everything. I'm like, you're eating everybody else, but for some reason they're not eating the main cast. And then of course they're playing the music from Cats, of
Oh,
course.
that's
And
right. That's right. That's funny.
it just I was like, I get what they were going for, but no. At least should have at least let one of them get eaten. I mean, the brother. It would have been great if the brother would have
Hmm.
gotten eaten by the flurkin and then, thrown back up. Like, your cat eats something they're not supposed to, and you're just like, get throw it out, throw it out. That would have been funny. But I
That's a
guess they
very
didn't
good
know what to
point.
do.
I would kind of compare it. It seems like a spiritual successor to that scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 where Yondu gets his arrow back, and the Come a Little Bit Closer scene where he's taking out pretty much every one of the mutiny ravagers and taking out the ship.
Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
But
Mhm.
obviously it's done much better in Guardians
Yes.
Volume 2. But it's a little bit jarring in this film because okay. So I guess we'll switch to the bad stuff. This film suffers a lot from having, first of all, a lot of tonal shifts. Someone asked me what I would grade this A through F, and I told them I would grade it an I for incomplete. I got the feeling that they really needed one more round of Marvel reshoots and editing in order to really get this thing to work.
Mhm.
You have a lot of situations where somebody will show up, and I don't understand how Dar-Ben's hammer works. I don't understand how she's a Kree, and most of the Kree that we've seen in the other Marvel movies have been a kind of a bright shade of blue. But this actress, I forget her name, but she's actually, I think she's in a relationship with Tom Hiddleston of all people. She doesn't have any character makeup on, and she's mean and she's bad, and she's got this hammer, and she's also has one of Miss Marvel's gauntlets, not the one that Miss Marvel has. There's just another one of these, but the
Mhm.
powers work differently than Miss Marvel's. This is the kind of thing where I would think that I'm missing a piece of lore, but then I look back and no, I've watched all the things that are leading up to this, and I'm so confused. Or somebody will lose one of those gauntlets. There's a scene towards the end where Miss Marvel loses her gauntlet in this fight, and she uses her powers even though she doesn't have her gauntlets. There's so many just little moments in this where I think that I wonder if they didn't have a script supervisor or if they just had to let this thing go. Because as we're talking about this, the strike just ended. The SAG-AFTRA strike just ended like this morning or yesterday morning, something
Mhm.
like that. Were you able to follow this? I don't know if it's just me not being smart enough to follow this. Lorena, were you able to follow the plot?
Uh, Vaguely, and it was too much work, and it shouldn't have needed to be that way. Number 1, I'm already annoyed because this movie expects for you to have watched WandaVision, which I did. Ms. Marvel, I did not
Mhm.
watch all of that. Secret Invasion, I
Mhm.
tapped out after 2 episodes of that. With
And also,
what
of
was
course, Captain Marvel.
Yes, and Captain which I did see Captain Marvel. So I'm like, "Okay, Captain Marvel, I can understand because that was one of the MCU movies. At least if you had to catch up, okay, boom, I had to, watch one movie and I could catch up. But this stuff was like all over the place. You had this villain, Darven, who did not seem like a villain that couldn't be beaten. I mean, I didn't get that. She didn't seem invincible. She didn't seem like she had this ominous master plan. It was just, I just want to bring glory back to Kala.
Mhm.
But I wasn't getting anything. Like there wasn't a scene because they were telling us rather than showing us. There wasn't like an actual scene where you saw a serious devastation or whatever that went on. She could have been any Kree that happened to. What was so special about her?
Y- Yeah, that's the question that I've seen put forward is, what if this was just Ronan the Accuser again? Would it have made any difference? That, which is the blue guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, and also Captain Marvel. He does show up in Captain Marvel again.
Mhm.
So would it have made any difference to the plot whatsoever? It was just this random guy who happens to have a big hammer. I don't think it would.
No.
There are some particular scenes in this film that are probably worth noting. So they arrive on this water planet, and before they get there, Captain Marvel does the thing of "Don't be thrown," but everyone's going to act a little different when I'm there. And they get there, and it is a planet where everyone has to sing, and no one acknowledges what you say unless you sing. And Captain Marvel is married to the prince of this planet.
One, that's one heck of a legal issue. Uh, number 1, that whole singing thing seemed out of place, ridiculous. It looked like I was watching one of the worst Bollywood dance numbers I've ever seen. And that's a shame because I've seen a lot of Bollywood movies
Mhm.
and those dance numbers are on point. This one was not. I'm trying to figure out where the heck were they going with this and why was this scene really necessary? I was just like, I cannot believe this is where we are with the MCU
Yeah,
now.
you're right, and it's also supposed to be while someone is coming to destroy their planet in what seems like a
Yes.
pretty savage way. There are two end credit sequences.
Well, let's see. We see my girl Kate Bishop walking into her place. And I did like Hawkeye. That was
Mhm.
actually
Yeah, me too. Me too.
uh what I call pure dumb Home Alone type fun. If you've ever been to Christmas in New York, it's special. And you would think that if someone's going to recruit, it could possibly be Nick Fury, but no, it's Ms. Marvel. I'm putting together a team. I'm like, are you serious? I I just said no. No, of all I could see if Nick Fury was sitting there and he allowed Kamala to ride shotgun with him,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that
okay?
would make
I
more
could
sense, yeah.
I could believe that, like, "Hey, that's classified." No, you don't get to look at that. You don't get to look at that. I could believe that, but just her?
Yes,
So
and she uses the phrase "kid Avengers," which is, I don't know any 16-year-old who would describe themselves as a kid. I
no.
gotta say they're pretty much pushing that "I'm an adult and y'all just don't realize it yet" kind of attitude. Are you excited for the Young Avengers? Should it come together here in the next few years?
Absolutely not. And I'm saying this as someone who read Marvel Comics since she was a young teenager. I am not interested whatsoever in that.
Of course, we have the last scene, which features Monica Rambeau. Spoiler alert: gets trapped in another dimension. When you have your choice of being on the side of the dimensional rift that is in your galaxy and the other one, I don't know why you wouldn't choose the side that you know which galaxy or which dimension you're going to be in, but she chooses the other side. as the place to seal that thing up from. And she ends up in
Mhm.
the Fox X-Men universe with a twist. It looks like her mom is there. Her mom is the same age as her, roughly. She's a superhero called Binary, and they're in the X-Men mansion uh,
Mhm.
with Kelsey Grammer in a he's a CG beast. Did this one go over well with you in your screening, Lorena?
You mean me and the other 3 people who were in the theater?
Oh, that was going to be my other question. There was
Um,
nobody in mine. I was the only person in my screening.
the other 3 people, because one came at the last minute, they saw that, and I didn't really get a reaction. I didn't really hear a reaction from them. I did react because I saw the X on the door and knew
Mhm.
exactly where they were, and then heard Kelsey Grammer's voice, and you see Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and that was such a horrible CGI job.
Mm.
I couldn't. It was hard. It was hard to look at. But the lighting, everything, that shot looked better than anything else in the Marvels.
Minus the CGI on Kelsey Grammer,
Yeah.
I would say that I agree with you. That is the best looking set of shots. I'm not really in love with the costume that they have on Binary. It's kind of a weird costume.
Yeah.
Um, and I do love Kelsey Grammer. I mean, I've watched every episode of Frasier and most of
Likewise.
Cheers. He's so
Yep.
good, and I actually do like the new Paramount series, even though it takes a little getting used to.
I do too.
There are moments of Kelsey Grammer shining through, and that guy is perfectly cast as Beast. That being
Mhm.
said, I would love if they would do his CGI perfectly.
Yeah, that looked like a rush job. Ugh.
Well, I'm going to throw it to you first. If you were to grade this on a scale of, do you prefer 1 out of 5 or 1 through 5 or 1 through 10? What's your favorite grading scale here?
I like 1 through 10. That gives me a bit more wiggle room.
Mhm. I'm already on record for mine, but I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll reveal my score.
Okay, well, I didn't loathe this movie as much as I thought I was going to, and, the cons really were the saving grace of this film because it was gonna get, like, a 4 out of 10 from me, so I wound up giving it a 5 out of 10. I have no desire whatsoever to see it again. I think that it is not theatrical ready. It is should have gone straight to Disney Plus. So that's my score, 5 out of 10.
Yep, that's about where I would put it too, as something that was not finished, that really needed at least a few more months of work, probably some reshoots. They could have used some nice expositional voiceovers here and there
Mhm.
instead of jamming all that science dialogue into Tiana Paris's mouth. Not that she delivered it well. She was good. Considering the fact that everybody did what they were supposed to do, the way they were supposed to do it, and the cons were funny, just everything else about this, the plot, the fact that it made no sense in parts. I'm this is sounds so mean for me, but I'm going to give it a 3 because it just was not a finished movie. I can't believe they put this out in the shape that it was in with so many plot holes and so many things that just make no sense. That being said, I don't hate this movie. I might watch it again for a laugh sometime. It wasn't woke. That's a question that I get all the time. All right. Lorena, where can people find you?
Well, folks, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, and of course, you can find me on YouTube, where I give you spicy sci-fi and pop culture analysis, and I keep it real when it comes to theme parks. And thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Lorena. Lorena is my favorite theme park streamer. She's usually streaming on Saturdays, and if I end up working on a Saturday, I'll usually put the streams on. And like she says, she keeps it real when it comes to theme parks. And Lorena is also a contributor to That Park Place, which is the channel that you're on right now. We do the That Park Place daily countdown Monday through Friday. And we try to go and do a breakdown of all of the pop culture stories that you might get. Some of those stories that maybe aren't going to grab you with a thumbnail, but we'll do like 4 or 5. So we'll get that. We'll give you your vegetables about 3 stories in, and we'll also throw in some great stuff that you might not have gotten otherwise. So thank you everyone for being here. You can follow us at the social media handles above. Of course, you can follow at Lorena Creole on Twitter and on YouTube and on Instagram. And of course, subscribe to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.